Welcome to this webinar on free and reduced price application process. In this webinar, we'll discuss the free and reduced price applications and benefit process. We have a separate webinar on how to approve free and reduced price applications. So if you need training on approving applications, I encourage you to watch that webinar. In addition to discussing the application process, we'll briefly discuss the Missouri Health Net forms in this webinar also. These are the steps in the free and reduced price application process, and we'll go into more detail about each of these, but these are the basic steps. So first you have your public release that you'll publish before school starts. Then you'll distribute applications at the beginning of the school year. You'll then need to process or determine what the eligibility of the application is. This should be done immediately, but it's required to be done within 10 operating days of receiving the application. Then you'll distribute the benefits or update the benefit issuance document and your point of service document immediately when possible, but within that 10 operating days. You'll also need to send an approval or denial notice within 10 days. And then make sure to maintain your applications. So throughout the school year, households can apply for benefits. So accept new applications anytime throughout the school year, and make sure to retain all your applications and other files on file for 3 years after the final claim for reimbursement. And then last is the carryover of benefits. So 30 operating days into the following school year, they'll receive the benefits from the previous school year. LEAs participating in the National School Lunch Program must provide free and reduced price meals to eligible students. Other than the direct certification, the main way to do this is through the application for free and reduced price meals. We have handbooks available on our DESE Food and Nutrition Services website. We have the free and reduced price manual, which is on our website under free and reduced price information, and we have the eligibility manual for school meals, which is available on our website under handbooks. A public release is a required notification to the public that free and reduced meals are available. The income eligibility guidelines are provided in the public release. There is a copy of the public release in our free and reduced price handbook. It must be provided to the local news, the unemployment office, and major employers contemplating layoffs. It's 2 pages now with the non-discrimination statement, so when you get this from our manual, make sure that you get both pages published. At the beginning of the school year, you'll also need to distribute the applications. You can do this by mailing, emailing, or including in an information packet provided to students. In the free and reduced price handbook, there are many attachments, and you can choose which ones you would like to include, but at a minimum, these are the ones that must be included when sending out the application. So the first is the letter to parents. The next is the application instructions. Next is the application itself. And the last is the Missouri Health Net request for information form. Now, non-public LEAs are not required to include the Missouri Health Net forms, but you're still encouraged to include it. Public LEAs are required to include that Missouri Health Net form. LEAs also must have a written local meal charge policy in place, and it must be provided in writing to all households at the start of the school year. So I wanted to include this because sometimes it might be included in the packet or along with distributing applications. Just make sure on your meal charge policy that it also includes the USDA non-discrimination statement. That's something we found quite often during reviews, that the meal charge policy doesn't have that non-discrimination statement on it. So make sure that's included. For households with limited English proficiency, it is required that eligible students have access. So this means providing information in a language they can understand. So applications and other materials must be provided in a language that that household can understand. The application is available in 49 different languages on the USDA website. So this is the link to the website with the applications, and please just be aware that the USDA does not update these every year, so they'll probably have an old year on them that might say 2015-16 on it still. You're still fine to use these, just make sure to update that year yourself. This is the new application this year, so there are no changes from last year. So if you were processing applications last year, this should look familiar. This is the back of the application. It must also be included. It has the non-discrimination statement as well as the question about race and ethnicity, and it also has some additional information about income sources on the back, so make sure to include that. These are the application instructions. They must be included when sending the application. It is 2 pages, so you can print it 1 page front and back. It is important to remember that parents have the right not to have their children receive free or reduced meals. Also, even though households can be directly certified, it's still important to distribute the applications because some families don't apply for assistance even if they qualify. LEAs are not required to provide applications to directly certified households, but must ensure that those students are not overtly identified. So if you're passing out applications in a public setting, it's best to distribute the applications to everyone to prevent overt identification. So you're not giving it only to students who have not been directly certified, because then that would overtly identify the directly certified students. Also, an application completed by a directly certified household can help you document members that eligibility needs to be extended to. So that might identify those other students in the household. An LEA can use the date of submission as the date of eligibility rather than the date that the application is approved if they notify DESE. To do this, you must notify us on your methods of collection and meal counting form. So this is the methods of collection and meal counting form. And the last question on there says the LEA will establish the date of submission of an application as the effective date of eligibility. So if you check yes, you can use the date that the household submitted the application instead of the date you approved it. For example, if the household turned in their application on Monday, but you didn't get it approved until Friday, if you have that marked yes, you can use the date that they were eligible as Monday rather than the date being Friday. Whenever you change the method of collection form, you're also required to resubmit the policy statement along with it. So here's the web address of how to access that policy statement. So make sure to send that in if you change your method of collection form. That method of collection form is not required to be submitted each year. You only need to submit it if you have any changes. In order to approve the application, it must be complete. If it's incomplete, you are not allowed to complete it with information from school records that you have. If it is incomplete, contact the household to get any missing information or clarify the information. You can do this by phone or email. So if the application is missing something such as the Social Security number or a household member, you can call them, ask them what it was, record it on the application, and then just make a note that you talked to them, the date, and what the information was. The only thing is, if the signature is missing, they need to sign it themselves. You cannot sign it for them. The meal application provides information to determine eligibility based on income or no income, categorical eligibility, so assistance programs or other source categorical eligibility, or mixed households, which is a household that includes other source categorically eligible children, and children who are not. A complete income application includes the names of all household members, the income and frequency, and the Social Security number and the signature. If you have questions about if an income should be included, you can refer to the eligibility manual on page 26. There are a lot of examples, but this lists just a few that we sometimes get questions about. So you do need to include things such as unemployment benefits, veterans benefits, and disability benefits. On page 30, it also tells you sources of income that you do not include. Some examples are cash payments from SNAP or FDPIR, payments received from a foster care agency or court for the case of foster children, student financial aid, loans, and infrequent income such as occasional babysitting or yard work. When an application is approved, you must notify the household. You can do that in writing by mail or email, or you can let them know verbally if they are approved for benefits. So if you choose to notify the household in writing, you can use the form letter provided in the free and reduced price handbook. And again, the non-discrimination statement is a second page now, so make sure to include that. If the application is denied, you must notify the household in writing. You can do this by mail or email. This notice must include the reason they were denied and let them know they have the right to appeal, and let them know they have the ability to reapply at any time during the school year. There is a form letter, again, available in the free and reduced price handbook. The household has the right to appeal the denial or the level of benefits. The hearing official would conduct a hearing. They must be in a position higher than the determining official, and they must not be connected with the approval or verification process. During an appeal, the LEA must continue to provide the benefits, and they may continue to claim those meals for reimbursement. If an LEA had an application error rate of greater than 5% during the administrative review, they're required to do an independent review of applications. Sometimes we also call this a second review of applications. We publish this list on our website, and the LEAs that will need to do this will be informed. And what this is after the determining official determines the eligibility for the applications, a second person will need to review all the applications. So you'll check the correct eligibility was made, make sure the application is complete, and make sure your master list of your benefit issuance document has the correct eligibility. You'll need to conduct this review before the household is notified of their eligibility, but you still only have those 10 operating days to do that. So that's only required for LEAs that had a high error percent during their administrative review. So now we'll talk a little bit about the Missouri Health Net forms. They are required for public LEAs in Missouri to distribute at the time when they're distributing the application. RCCIs, which are residential child care institutions, are not required to send this, and non-public LEAs are not required. You're still encouraged to send it, but you're not required to. This is the request for information form that is sent with all the free and reduced price applications. You'll send the request for information form along with the application, and it is an attachment available in the free and reduced price handbook. If the form is returned and it's marked no, that they don't have insurance, then you'll send the Missouri Health Net letter letting them know how to get health insurance. Keep all the forms and separate the no's from the yeses, because those numbers will get reported to DESE. So this is the letter that you'll send to the households that respond no, and it tells them about how they can get health care coverage. You'll count all the no's and yeses and record this on the data collection form, which is an attachment in the free and reduced price handbook, and return this form to DESE at the end of November. Lastly, I wanted to also make sure you're aware there's a sharing information form that's part of the free and reduced price handbook. It asks parents to sign if they will allow you to share their children's information to other programs. You don't have to use the form, but you can if it's something that you think you'll need. For example, if you have a backpack program that is only offering food for the weekends if they're free or reduced, you can't just share that information automatically, so you need parental consent. You could send this form home to the parents asking if you can share that information with that backpack program, and if they say yes that you can, then you'd be able to share that information. Also, in the eligibility manual on page 86, there's a chart that tells you when you need parental consent or when you can disclose information and what information you can disclose to other programs. So that's helpful to know that that's there, and then if you have any questions about if you're allowed to share information, you can contact DESE and we can help you make that determination. If you have any questions on the free and reduced price application process, feel free to contact me, and then also make sure to watch that webinar on how to approve applications.